Markets have started out this morning fairly nicely, given the very good economic news. Not tremendous, but good economic news this morning. And but then it's kind of trending down a bit after the opening, including Tesla. Put Tesla in that camp as well. Up and down a little bit, but I mean up strongly, then down. I kind of actually like the action right now. I'm thinking that the market in general needs a cooling off period. I'm talking about a 10% to 20% drop in the S&P. And Tesla, I want it to be, I think it'll be 265 by 1010, but I think it got where it is right now a little too fast. I mean, we're up 83%. Well, might be down from that now, but we were up 83% from the low just 6 months ago. That's a pretty fast run up. So I think we could be getting a little overextended. Anyway, we'll see what happens today, but I'd be perfectly okay with a little bit of kind of flat action in Tesla leading up to 1010, but eventually getting to my 265 just for fun. Doesn't really matter all that much, but it's fun to play the game. All right, so the son of Walkie this morning says today, that's the son of Wang on X. He says, breaking, Deutsche Bank expects Tesla China to deliver 64,000 cars in September, up 48% year over year. This is massive growth. But AJ points out that last September, there was a downtime because of the M3 Model 3 changeover. So 64,000 is nice. I think it'll be higher than that, actually. That 48% is just sloppy reporting on the part of Deutsche Bank. All right, then we have this from Nicholas Nielso, and that's a double S. NICKLASNILSSO 14. He says, wow, the day has come. BEV sales in Sweden, Tesla has sold more than the entire VW group. Tesla is now the #1 selling brand in Sweden. And he says that's a great achievement considering all the problems with the unions there in Sweden. And he says, just so you know, VW and Volvo is traditionally two really strong brands in Sweden. So this is huge. I agree. I think that's very, very good news for Tesla in Europe. Again, Europe has been a drag this year on the overall sales. Do you still think we'll hit at least 1.8 million? Elon says we would have a beat. We would beat last year's number. It's still in the cards. What do you think the number is going to be next week? We'll start trying to accumulate the numbers from everybody. Certainly, the 460 seems to be around the bottom. 457 I've seen as low as 457 as far as a guess. And then last I checked, AJ is still at the top of the heap somewhere over 480,000. Is that the right range? Will we be within that range? What do you think? All right. This is Randy Kirk. Please hit like, subscribe, and notify. Later this morning, we will have, yes, we will. It'll be Brian Wang. He'll be coming out with his end of 2025 estimates of sales for Tesla. It's a very interesting look, as always, from Brian. And then Larry will join us at the end of the day. Okay, so what did happen with the PCE and why is the market reacting the way it's reacting? Well, first of all, prices, according to Market Watch, prices in the U.S. rose slightly in August and signaled inflation is waning, paving the way for further reductions in interest rates by the Federal Reserve. So in other words, nothing that happened today would get in the way of either a 25 or 50 basis point cut at the November meeting. The Fed's preferred PCE index inched up 0.1% last month. That would be that matched the forecast. Economists had thought it would move up by 0.1. The increase in inflation in the past 12 months slipped from 2.2 from 2.5. That's the lowest level since early 2021. That's the headline number. Keep in mind, that's the headline number. And we've seen massive drops in the price of oil over the last month. The Fed is aiming to bring inflation down to 2% a year. That, of course, we know. The closely watched core rate, also rose 0.1, and that was a little bit less than the forecast and more good news. And then this core index, however, edged up 2.7 from 2.6% for the 12-month period. ending in July, but that tick is not expected to last. So anyway, you take out oil, you take out food fluctuations, and you get it to 2.7 on the core. Again, nothing that's going to interfere with the Fed doing something either 25 or 50 in November. Consumer spending rose 0.2%. That would be fairly modest because it's basically inflation. So you've got you're not buying any more stuff or any more services. You're just spending more for it. And it's the smallest increase in 7 months in terms of spending. Economists polled by the Wall Street Journal had expected a 0.3% increase there. So that would be the one piece of soft news. Household spending rose in the spring after a slow start in the year and appears to have remained steady over the summer. Amazon Day in July may have given spending a bit more pop. Weaker car sales last month, however, which we've been talking about, held down overall consumer spending. So income increased by 0.2% per month, the government said. Again, that would be flat. That would mean that people are not making any more money than they did the month before. Some economists have worried the economy is slow because it seemed like household savings had dried up. Well, there's another revision. Don't you just love the revisions? The government revising these numbers. The annual 5-year revisions conducted by the government showed that savings rate much higher than previously estimated. This is going to be another shocker. In July, for example, the government had estimated the savings rate was a meager 2.9%, well below the historical average. But now the July estimate was raised to 4.9%. From 2.9 to 4.9? The savings rate fell slightly to 4.8 in August. How can we even, this begins to look like, you notice I'm not talking about truflation anymore. I don't mention truflation ever. Why? Because they kept changing their numbers and they didn't give really good explanations for why they were changing their numbers. Now you got the government doing this with the employment numbers every month, changing them radically. That's next Friday. We'll see what happens there. But they changed this number from 2.9 to 4.9, from well under normal to way over normal in one, based on a 5-year analysis. Something is, I'm not a conspiracy theorist here. Something is rotten in, well, I hate to use Denmark. I mean, Denmark's a great territory for Tesla. So rotten, something is rotten though. I don't know what, but it's not good. All right, here we go. From the Forex Live, the international trade balance in August, in July rather, was 102.6. In August, dropped to 94.3. So that's nice. That's a $8.6 billion drop. August exports were up 177, up from by $4 billion compared to July. And imports were down. So you had a little bit of a down, 4 billion up for exports, 4 billion down from July. So both of those categories improving in terms of U.S. trade. Less trade balance, which is good, says Market Watch. Looking at the mix of goods and exports, they are also mixed results. The USD, the US dollar, had moved lower, and so that also impacts those numbers. So there you have it. So you can tell those numbers are okay. The savings thing is whack, and you don't know what to make of that because the savings rate is an important part of this mix about how is the consumer doing. If they're able to save 4.9%, that's a good thing, but it would say that they're not as stretched as we thought. So how is a poor statistician going to make good statistical analysis when the government numbers are that completely horrible? Well, okay, so what is the market making of all of this? As I mentioned, we're kind of flattish. The Dow, though, is up 311. So that's a strong number. Again, this would suggest maybe some kind of move into the mid caps, into the traditional stocks, into safety, into stocks that are more likely to pay a dividend. You got the NASDAQ has only got 5.68, S&P up 13.43, and Tesla, which was up $4 earlier this morning, is now only up 65 cents. You've got the Magnificent Seven, mostly. So you got 4 of the 7 are down. including NVIDIA down 2.54. Google, though, up 2.35. So very mixed this morning. And you've got the Cathie Woods also mixed, PayPal and Square, which have been having a great run up. Now this morning, taking some of that back, some profit taking, but mixed everywhere. And Tesla is now actually down a penny. So what are the percentages on this? We got the Dow up 0.75%. I mean, it's a pretty strong move, and it's actually heading higher. The NASDAQ is now flat, exactly flat. S&P, now it's down. S&P is up 0.24%, and Tesla up and down, was down for a second, is now up 0.24%. All right, let's go ahead and look at the bonds. So the bonds have finally, as I said, they were up too high. This, the 3.75 for the 10-year is where I think we should be, although I think that'll trend down. But it shouldn't be above that. And we are still above it a little, so we're 3.768, but down 2.1 basis points this morning. The 2-year is also down 2.3 basis points at 3.60. The 3-month and the is down a little less, but about the same. And then the 2-month, though, is popping up. So go figure that one. We're back to this 2-month moving in the wrong direction again, kind of bizarre. So about 100 basis points now splitting between the 2-month and the 10-year. Again, this has to change. Probably, I just don't see the 10-year going up above this number with a 25 to 50 basis point expectation in November. The 10-month should be done at these levels, and the 2-month should be coming down to meet it. All right, so let's go ahead and look at oil, which has been under a lot of pressure because of China and because of Saudi Arabia's statements. The bond market this morning, we got very flat. Texas Intermediate up 6 cents, Brent down 11. So 67.74 for Texas and 71.49 for Brent, getting a little closer to the normal. It's not quite $4 now between those two. Natural gas up. I have to learn how to play natural gas. 5.67%. It's up 5.67% this morning. That is at $2.91 per. Yeah, what is that? I forget the unit of measure there. Millions and millions of cubic feet or something. I forget. Anyway, gold down a little this morning. So finally, a little profit taking here. A couple of articles out this morning suggesting it is now exceeding any expected amounts that, it's up like crazy, like the Dow, like the S&P, even like Tesla. So profit taking on gold this morning down $9.90 to $2,685. Silver down a little also, which silver's up actually more on a percentage basis than gold. And so it's also down this morning, but only 0.16% to $32.29. And copper, which has also been running up very, very quickly, is down 0.22% to 4.629. So not at all surprised to see some of this. These things have been running up. The profit taking is coming in at this point. The yen is down. The euro is down. I'm sorry, that's absolutely incorrect. The dollar is down against both because I looked at the headline instead of looking at the actual numbers. Euro is now unchanged, and the Japanese. The dollar is down 1.326% against the yen. Okay, Bitcoin up 1,300, are sitting at 66,344 now, firmly back in the old trading range, and heading back towards the 70s. Maybe we'll see what happens. All right, so what did we learn from all of this? Let's go back and look. Tesla is back to being up at a buck at 255. I would be perfectly happy to see Tesla sitting in a range of 255 to 260 over the next couple of days while we get the numbers on Wednesday. So we might be anticipating those numbers just a little bit, getting a little nervous about whether we'll hit, 270, 275, which I think would be a real good number. If we're under 270, does that mean we might have a little sell-off? Anyway, that's what the specific to Tesla thing might be telling us right now as people are paying attention to those numbers ahead of the 1010, where they're paying even more attention to that. But a very big run up for Tesla up till now. What will happen with the Dow going up now 341, obviously at very, very all-time highs? Where will that break? When will we see some kind of a clear-cut return to something closer to sanity with regard to that particular equity? I just don't see how it keeps going up that much. All right. So another reminder to watch later this morning with Brian Wang. I think you're going to like it. It's an interesting take on where we might be by the end of next year. I think Brian is a little bit of an optimist like me, but I take what he says and cut it in half and then cut it in half again, and you still get to a good number. So take a look at that one, and then Larry and I will be joining you later today. If you haven't thought about it recently and you're really thinking, boy, where could I spend $3 a month where it would do some good? Patreon, or $5, or $10. It'd be good. Help out. Thank you. It'd be great. Okay, that's all I got for you right now. It's been great talking to you.